Pay Now is set for a major upgrade. New enhancements aim to streamline everything from QR payments to government transactions. But even as payments go digital, cash is still king to many seniors. Banks are expanding access points to meet their needs. Why is Singapore still looking to ensure access to physical cash, even as it pushes to streamline digital payments? Data from the central bank shows more than 55 billion Sing dollars were withdrawn from ATMs in 2024, underscoring the continued role of cash in everyday transactions. Now, according to a 2024 survey by global small business platform Xero, nearly 8 in 10 Singapore consumers still use cash for transactions, highlighting that there remains a persistent need for cash use, possibly when buying food at hawker centres or by seniors. An Infocom Media Development Authority report shows that seniors are warming to the idea of using online payments, with nearly 4 in 5 using digital options in 2022 as compared to 2018. But many remain wary of going fully digital, with scam concerns continuing to weigh on confidence. Cash also provides a dependable payment option during service disruptions. So even as Singapore goes digital in finance, there is still a need to ensure access to physical cash remains. Hence, local banks are committing to setting up more cash points. Besides ATMs and bank branches, customers can also withdraw cash at cash points. These are participating retailers that allow customers to withdraw cash when making a purchase. And for more analysis, we're joined by Wanyi Wong, who is a FinTech Leader at PwC Singapore. Wanyi, welcome to the show. Now, despite the push to go digital, Singaporeans still withdraw a substantial amount of cash. Why is that, and what does that tell us?
Jenna, thanks for having me. I think that that means that pushing for digital payments doesn't mean that we're going towards a cashless society. I think the key word here is cash light. Cash is still quite important in this space, which is why we still see quite a strong withdrawal that you have quoted in the statistics. It's driven by many different behavioral or even involuntary needs, where we do see that users still have to use cash in certain circumstances.
So nearly 8 in 10 consumers, they still use physical cash. Why hasn't digital cash fully replaced it, even in such a highly connected society like Singapore?
Yeah, and I think you can look at it as there are voluntary and involuntary reasons. Let's talk about voluntary reasons first. I would say that I see that as 3 key reasons. One is security, a sense of security, where it's a just in case. You think that, for example, you bring your phone out, but you think that perhaps your phone may be stolen, or you think that the mobile app may suffer outage. Or at the same time, you may think that perhaps a merchant may not accept digital payments. So it's a what-if situation that people still carry cash. But I also think that sometimes it's about privacy. So as you know, that digital payments do leave behind a trail. So it's recorded, it's attributed. So there are people who do not want these permanent records to be available and as such choose to use cash. I also think that tradition, culture come into play. You quoted that people still withdraw cash and they are still holding cash. At the same time, we do know that, for example, important events such as Chinese New Year, most of us are still very keen on packing cash into red packets. So I think tradition, culture do play a part in having people using cash. But there are also involuntary reasons where there are those where do not have access to banking facilities. While we are well banked, very inclusive financial environment, but in Singapore, there's still 1 to 2% of population, the adult population, where they do not have a banking facility. As such, they are kind of prohibited from having digital payments mode. At the same time, I think you talk about seniors. Seniors sometimes are not comfortable, or they're just not able to use digital apps. And that prevents them from using digital payments. And as such, they fall back on easy, quick ways, such as using cash.
Yeah, so speaking of banks in this case, we're seeing them expand cash access to within 500 meters of homes. So does this signal that cash will continue to be essential for Singaporeans in the foreseeable future?
This initiative is driven a lot more from inclusivity. So it's directed a lot at having seniors, bringing convenience to seniors, especially with Singapore having an aging population. So it's not so much as to bringing back cash into society. I think that these two can coexist. The push for digital payment will continue. And I believe that more people use more digital payments. But at the same time, I think for the sake and for the inclusivity of our society, we do need to make sure that we have facilities such as ATMs or withdrawals from supermarkets. They're available for those who are still very used to using cash and they're still not able to access digital payments, as I mentioned earlier, where it's involuntary. It's not that they chose not to use digital payments.
Wanyi, thank you so much for your analysis. That was Wanyi Wong from PwC Singapore.